Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, I'm Skip Elsheimer, and this is Bill.
Yeah, Bill Ackerman. Hey.
And we were just doing a podcast for Bill. And I noticed what time it was, and I was like, oh, it's time for our show.
Yeah.
And so Bill and I have been talking about AV Geeks, where it came from, and maybe where it's going. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna conclude our podcast after we do my show.
Yeah.
And I asked him, like, what did he want to do? What did he want to see? And he mentioned the fact of seeing films that are kind of eventually the people that made the films ended up doing stuff in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I decided not to do actors. I decided to do people kind of behind the camera. And so we're going to watch two films that were shot by Caleb Deschanel.
Yeah.
Which are actually two of my favorite films. So one of them is Lost Puppy, and the other is The Bike. And then we're going to watch a film that was made by Robert Altman for Calvin Films before he decided to start making features. So the first film we're going to watch is... Where is it? Oh, I haven't even placed it in. I'm all discombobulated today. All right, let's put this here. Do this. So, Bill, tell me a little bit about your podcast. Like, what is it that you talk about?
So I talk to people that took their love of film into some kind of project or vocation. I talk to people that write about film, critics and authors. I talk to people that do podcasts, the people that do home video supplements, people that do film programming, festivals. So just any kind of project that comes from a love of film. Not always filmmakers, although I've had some people like Bill Lustig that made successful feature films. But that's kind of the gist of it. It was originally just a way to celebrate friends that I had that had like little projects, and that's kind of grew from there.
And the name of it is
Supporting Characters.
Right. And so it really is kind of the people that aren't the main actors or the main filmmakers. It are people that help perpetuate the culture of film. And and where can people hear it?
It's in all the usual podcatchers. Nowplayingnetwork.net is the home base for it, but it's on Spotify and Apple and Amazon and all those other places.
Nice. All right, so this first film we're going to watch, you actually got to see. You came all the way down from Delaware.
Yes.
You drove all the way down here, and immediately we set up microphones and started doing this.
Yeah.
This first film you did get to see, Lost Puppy. And this is one of three films that the filmmaker made, not Caleb Deschanel, although he might have shot all three.
Yeah.
But it's this guy, George McQuilkin, I think is his name.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of work for Churchill Films. And these are the first three that he did, and they are easily the most striking. They're really quite amazing because the acting of the kids is so kid-like. And unfortunately he has passed away, but I would love to have talked to him about how he got these performances out of these kids. So here's Lost Puppy. Enjoy.
Get away.
If you want to keep that dog, you're going to have to remember to close the gate. Stay in the house till I come down. And stay out of the cookies. All right, I'm leaving now. Remember, I want you to stay right around the house while I'm gone. And if you need anything, you go next door to Mrs. Wright. She knows you're here. Lisa! I'm in a hurry. Talk to you later.
Hi, Melissa. What's that? It's chalk. Where'd you find it? Under a tree. Let me try. Okay. It doesn't work very well. I know. Can you play? No. Peso got out this morning. How? I left the gate open. Well, can we play here? Sure, I guess so. Okay. I left the gate open. Maybe Peso got it again. Peso! Here, Peso! 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 Where are you, Peso? Peso! Here, Peso! 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 Are you in there? Here, Peso! Is he there? No. I think he went to the park. I'm gonna go get his leash. I think you should wait until your mother comes back. You better not go. I'm going. You want to come? No, I have to stay home. He could get run over. You do what you want, but I think you should stay here. Come on where I went. Queso! Queso! Sir? I've just seen a dog.
What kind of dog?
Well, he's brown and white, and he has a short tail.
No, I haven't seen a dog like him this afternoon. How'd you lose a dog?
The gate got open. Those tips for the birds,
Yeah.
do they like them?
Watch this.
Let me try. I better go now.
Wait a minute. Would you like me help you find him?
Well,
We could take my car.
I don't think so. I'm not allowed to ride with strangers.
It'd be a lot easier to find him with the car.
No, thank you. Queso! Queso! Your mother's angry at you. So I found him. I still think he shouldn't have gone. Your mother's calling you.
So, yeah, so we talked about this film while we were watching it, and we realized we have to recapitulate like what we talked about. So you just saw a movie last night that had a similar plot.
Yeah, well, it's not a similar plot, but I was just laughing because I saw Bring Her Back last night, which also has like someone leaving the door open and pet getting out and like problems ensuing. So I just like, oh, it's the recurring theme today. But
Right. And you talked about the how you wanted something that you wanted there to be a punishment. For
Well,
the girl.
I think I didn't want there to be a punishment. I think I assumed because she's disobeying all these rules that there's going to be some repercussion, and the fact that it doesn't really pay that off I thought was so interesting because she comes up to the sketchy man in the park and you think, oh, this is where it's going, but she keeps disobeying all the rules. I thought it's an educational film. There's probably going to be some repercussions, and the fact that there isn't, I thought was so unusual. It's a very kind of ambiguous kind of...
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's super ambiguous. 1969, I mean, there was definitely, and you noticed, and you talked about some of the filmmakers you felt like influenced.
Like Antonioni.
Yeah, so there's definitely that vibe with films made during that time period where the filmmakers are looking directly to the French New Wave. They're looking to all the
Bergman too.
Yeah,
with looking out at the window. I mean, it anticipates things that come later with Bergman's color films. It's funny to see it in this children's.
Yeah,
film.
no, exactly. And so just that whole thing with the bridge where they're
Yeah,
they're
that's-
spanning this bridge and they can't communicate. And they're yelling at each other and they're both saying, "What? What?"
Yeah, well, like the isolating environment idea, which seems to come from Antonioni. I'm like, why is this in a children's film?
No, exactly. And I gotta say, like, the kids in this film are kids.
Yeah.
And it really just feels like verite. Like, it really feels like they just took that kid's puppy, or they opened the gate and the dog went out, and then they're like, "All right, little girl, let's follow you as you try to find this puppy, and we'll have these interactions that take place in between." But yes,
Well, do you know why they made it? Like, was it to create discussion in the classroom?
yes, yeah, totally.
Okay.
This is meant to, and this is one thing that adults hate. Kids love, but these are provocative films that are designed to provoke discussion. And you would show this probably in a language arts class, which was an early version of an English class. And what you would do is the teacher, and I don't have a teacher's guide for this, so I can't tell you for sure.
Yeah.
But based on experience with other ones where I've seen teacher's guides, the idea is like, okay, now you have the class either talk about or write a story about the time that they lost a pet, or make up a story about a pet that you lost, like what would happen. And then you would talk about all these different things, like do you think that was dangerous? And the class, there's so many provocative points in there that the kids latch onto that, and that gives them something to discuss, or to draw, or they create a play that just, that this is a launching off point for a day of discussion about the aspects of what are in there. And so it's not like a ham-fisted Sid Davis film, because the Sid Davis films certainly talk about all these things, about the dangers of talking to strangers, the dangers of going to places you're not supposed to go, and the film is pointing those things out.
Yeah.
But we're not seeing any punishment.
But it's not even like, it's still even unclear if that guy is dangerous. It's just we just know because what she's taught, like, don't get in the car with a stranger, which is, what you want to teach a kid in that situation. But it's, it isn't really like they pay off any of the rules that she doesn't follow as far as like some kind of cautionary tale. It's just a slice of life that has this sense of suspense because, just her breaking these rules perpetually from the beginning to the end.
No, it's great. And so the next film is one of my favorites, and I have so many films about bikes, and almost all of them are bike safety films. But this one isn't. It's not a bike safety film. In fact, I would say that it shows some flagrantly bad decisions related to bikes, and the kids are just awesome in this. So this is The Bike. Enjoy.
Hey, where did you get that bike? On my birthday. Can I ride it? No. What about next
I'm going to leave soon. Did you put my brown hat in the car?
Yeah.
Don't say yeah.
Yeah.
Your mother had something for you to carry out.
Alright. Here's a neat one. No, my father said nobody could. Get off my fence, you're gonna break it. I'm not gonna break it. Well, you better get off before you do. Boy, who wants to ride that stinking old bike? Hey, Keith! Do you want to go to the park, Keith? I can't. My bike's broken. Did you see Steve's new bike? Yeah. Want to go see it again? Okay. Now, my bike is good, isn't it? Yeah. Is anybody home? I don't think so. Where'd they go? Swimming. Cool bike. Yeah. Want to go over the fence? Okay. If we're going to look at it, yeah. It goes up to 10. It goes up to 3? Yeah. It's a neat bike. Hey, if you ride the bike, we can go to the park. Come on, Keith. I won't be your friend anymore. We better not. What about he comes home late? Why not? What about he comes home late? How do you know? I just know. But I'm still thinking we don't. Keith, come on, please. Well, okay. Promise me something. A good break. Your fault. How do you know? New bikes don't break. Oh, you're funny. These are good popsicles. Yeah. Every time I'm going to get these. Me too. I get to ride the bike back. Oh, come on, Keith. I'll take care of it. I'm going to ride it. Me. You told me I could. I'm going to tell Steve on you. How could you? Yeah, you told me to ride it. Well, come on, please. Well, okay. But you have to take care of it. Okay. We better go now. Then I told you to take care of it? Well, yeah. Not ours. I know that. Hey, look, you made my popsicle drop. Oh, shut up. Oh, this is busted. So where the brake? I saw it. Look at the horn. No. How about we can ask them? And the slip shift too. Here. Look at the horn now. It's all busted. See? Hey, where's that rubber thing was on? You slid it and it went right in the trash can. No, that was it. Now we're not to trouble. And look, the steps won't work. Oh, we have to. This is what I'm doing. Oh, we have 2 kids. We're gonna get this bike home fast. Let's get it to your house and try to fix it. Ah! But my house is very far. Okay, we'll just walk with it. All right. Shall we fix it? We have to take it to my garage. You got a wrench? Yeah, but you have to help me. You're the one who broke it. It's not my fault. You took it. Oh, God. on the front fender. Yeah, okay. Eddie, stop playing around. We have to hurry. Come on. I want to blow bubbles. Come on. Okay. Does the horn work? No, I can't get to work. We better get the bike back right now. Fix it. Okay. And we'll see. Good. Keith's the other way. Oh. Okay, let's get out. No, not the front wheel. It's supposed to be back forward. No! Well, it's supposed to go up here. No! Well, we better go. Come on, let's take this. Keith, are you going to tell on me? I know you're going to tell. I think you should tell, White. You're the one who told me to bring... Huh? No. You're going to tell. Why should I tell? Because you told me to bring it. It's your fault now. You're the one who's going to get in trouble, not me. Who are you? No, I'm not. I'm sure. Hey, Bobby, get out of here. Get out of here, Bob. Hurry up. Are you going to really tell, Keith? No, I'm not even going to tell. You should tell. I mean it. Then who is going to tell? You. Not me. Yes, you are. You can't make me. I won't be your friend. Keith! Look at me! Hey, Keith, Steve's down there. I better go home and eat my dinner. I know what you're going to do, tell. Yes, you are. Go ahead, I'm going to watch you. And you better not either. Hey, Keith, come on, I want to talk to you. Hey, Keith! Come on, don't tell.
Yeah. So, what do you think of that one?
I loved it. These are great.
Yeah.
How did you come upon these films?
They were part of some school systems, and I was like, the bike, huh? What is this?
Yeah.
And watched it, and was floored because it captures. I mean, the number of times that I had conversations like this with friends, where we're just like messing around, like on a swing set, or like just doing kid stuff, like all of the activities those kids were doing while they're having this kind of serious discussion about the moral implications of what had just happened.
Yeah.
It totally resonated with me. I'm like, that's me up on the screen. And to capture that pacing, and just kind of, there is this dilemma of like, what would the kid going to tell on him or not?
Right.
Which we didn't get with Lost Puppy, but it definitely is this, like, this is something you propose to kids, and you say like, all right, would you tell?
Yeah.
And then the kids would like chime in about it and talk about all the aspects of it, but it's so good. Plus, they made that kid wreck his bike.
I know.
And no stunt.
It looks very painful.
And I know that's, I'm guessing that was integral to the plot. So he had to wreck his bike at some point.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how that played out, but that kid, he
took one for the film.
He did totally take one for the
Suffered
film.
for the art.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. And again, like all shot like the magic hour of cinematography. It's like Terrence Malick after school special.
Yeah, exactly. And we were talking, I think Caleb Deschanel went to USC.
Yeah.
And probably was like a student with George Lucas and all those people.
Yeah.
You were talking about some of Caleb's early work. He did stuff for Zoetrope, right?
Yeah, well, Black Stallion and More American Graffiti, and then he also directed The Escape Artist, I think. And
okay.
so, yeah, I mean, he's definitely affiliated with that Coppola-Lucas contingent.
Yeah, and he was credited in THX 1138, which was an early Zoetrope film. But, man, yeah, I mean, there was
later directed 3 episodes of Twin Peaks. So.
There you go, yeah. So he definitely... There's these choices that were made in how the film was shot that were really quite something.
Well, even like the way they use the zoom, like the documentary-like way that they photograph things.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just great lighting, but it also feels like, like captures slice of life. Like same with Lost Puppy. Like they don't feel like actors; they feel like real children. That
Right.
In the situation.
Yeah, and so I don't know. Again, I would love to have known like how that process works. Like, how do you get kids to respond in a way that it sounds like they are, that they're experiencing it. Like, I mean, I have so many examples of really poor kid actors who just, they have lines and they just do not hit those lines at all. And so this is obviously some sort of improvisational thing.
Yeah.
And you feel like those kids stole that bike, then wrecked it, and now are trying to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that style, like, I mean, even in the first film, like when she's telling the man that she can't get in the car, like she trips over the lines a little bit, but like a kid would potentially stumble over those lines in real life, and I feel like it just makes it realistic. It doesn't feel like a flaw in the acting. It feels like that's how kids talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, man, I feel like that they were certainly shown to kids. I mean, the films are splicey and beat to hell, which means that teachers did show them.
Yeah.
But the kids, like that type of filmmaking, you just don't see in a Cornette film. You don't see it in an Encyclopedia Britannica film. Like, these are like pretty amazing.
Well, did you see that like across the board, like at this time in educational films, that the style is always changing that obviously, or is this a real outlier?
Well, so yeah, like late. So this was '69, and so a lot of films from the late '60s are young filmmakers, who are being influenced. They went to film school, like films prior to that time, from the '50s, early '60s. Those were people that mostly didn't go to film school. They learned how to shoot in the Army. Like, they went to Army Signal Corps. They learned how to shoot that way, or they learned from a production environment standpoint, and they just cranked out, like Cornette, Encyclopedia Britannica just cranked out films.
Yeah.
And they had little to no tolerance for any type of improvisation. Everything was heavily scripted, heavily edited. And this has a different vibe. And there's other films from that time period that have a different vibe. So last week, I had an interview with filmmaker John Ullman, who worked on this series for public television called Inside Out. And he talked about being very much influenced by European filmmakers in doing some of the films that he wrote. And they have a similar feel.
Okay.
So those were 72. So yes, there was a lot of films where it was exploring emotional stuff. They were open-ended. It was all about exploring with teachers in a classroom setting.
Yeah.
And less about the, highly regimented, we're going to introduce this concept. We're going to talk about this concept. Then we're going to sum up at the end what we've learned in this film. This is not that at all.
Yeah.
And even with films that were dealing with social guidance or emotional things, had that same formula, because that's how these were like factory produced films. Like Coronet was at their high point, they were cranking out 2 films a week.
Yeah.
Which is outrageous. But they were making money. This is how they knew how to do it. And so you see that when you do a comparison to a film like this, which is got so much more depth and humanity to it. I mean, it doesn't have, again, a clear message. It's not punishing the characters. We don't see them get punished.
Yeah.
So it's more about exploration of, what should they do? What are they feeling? How is that, and then in the 80s, that all disappeared again.
Yeah. Well,
It was all about, we're going to tell you what you're going to feel and how you're going to feel and how it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, what you were saying earlier about it could be a prompt in a creative writing kind of environment for kids. That also feels like, that would make sense. That this could inspire kids to, what's fill in the blanks, because there's a lot of ellipses here.
Yeah, and so Encyclopedia Britannica did do a series called Magic Moments, which were these short films which set up these provocative situations that talk about these things. And there's one called What If, which basically shows, it's a series of I think 6 different short vignettes about things that happen, and then you're supposed to fill in what happens next. Right. And some of them deal with moral stuff, but a lot of it is just like, what do you think is going to happen next? And some of them are kind of fantasy related. But all these films were meant to be provocative to little kids' brains, to get them excited about stuff. Yeah. And you didn't see that in the 80s at all. All right, so one last film, and this one we're going to Robert Altman. Yeah. And what's interesting is I feel like the 2 films we saw before could be Altman films.
Yeah, this feels less like, those films are closer to McCabe, Mrs. Miller than what we're about to watch.
Yeah, exactly. So Robert Altman was cutting his teeth at Calvin Films. Yeah. And which they made a lot of industrial films, which we've shown here on the channel. And so that's how some filmmakers kind of came to this, is they went to some place where they learned how to make films, either in film school or in the military. Then they got jobs for television stations or doing industrial films. George Romero, for example.
Yes.
Did a lot of these. And I actually, through Oregon Archive, I found I had some, they had some George Romero films that he did about sports stars. He did this whole series of interviews with sports stars. Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't have soundtracks, so I'm not really going to show them on here.
I worked on a Romero box set years ago, and they were going to put some of his industrials on there. And this right before Romero passed away. He actually was the one that stopped them from including it because he felt it was like a separate thing than his theatrical work, and he really didn't want it kind of combined.
Man, filmmakers, I mean, that's what I think is unfortunate, is that when a filmmaker is like, no, I don't want you to see my early stuff. I'm like, no, dude, we want to know your early stuff. We want to see that early stuff because maybe you can, but we can extrapolate. Yeah. Wow, that's the eye that you had when you were doing this paid work versus when you were doing your own kind of vision. Like, I think that's important, and filmmakers oftentimes don't want you to see that.
Yeah. Well, was it Herc Harvey who made Carnival of Souls? I forget. Did they put some of his industrials
They
on
did,
Carnival of
and
Souls?
I think he had passed by the time they actually released it on Criterion. But yeah,
Yeah.
made hundreds of films for Centron.
Centron, yeah.
And you know, I guess he said, like, when he was at like some film marketplace, people are like, well, have you made other films? He's like, yeah, I've made hundreds of films.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, classroom films. And you can see some of his work in the classroom films. Centron is the one educational film company that I feel like has heart, where they weren't cranking out like a factory. They really were kind of, in some cases, really thinking about the theatrical part of it, the cinematic part of it, but also the emotional part of the people in the films.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he did Shake Hands with Danger, which when they made it, they got who their audience was and made a film that is still being shown today,
Yeah.
like 45 years later. Okay, so this last film is Magic Bond, and this is one of the films he made before he made his first feature, which was Hell's a Poppin'. What was it?
The Delinquents?
The Delinquents, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of just kept going from there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think where this falls in relation to Combat, because that was the first thing I thought of, the
Oh, the
television
TV show? Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the thing, is you build your resume and you're like, hey, I work for this company, we made all these films, so I know how to follow a budget.
Well,
I
he
know.
applied his trade in Hollywood writing screenplays. He wrote a film called The Bodyguard with Lawrence Tierney. Like, he was trying to break into Hollywood, couldn't catch a break, and then came back, and then this is the next step.
Right. Okay, so here's Magic Bond, and I think that this is a film about veterans or something related to veterans, but yeah.
VFW, yeah.
All right, enjoy.
Okay, now, what's the big idea? Nobody but a Swede, a dumb Swede. Save it, Sarge. Yeah. 25 years. 25 years he spent with his face up against some cow's side in Minnesota. And all of a sudden he's a military genius. General Dwight D. Olson. I told him, what are you waiting for? Go on, you dumb Swede. I told him that. But see, he's got to be old Monty himself, don't he? Yeah, too good to take orders from some old sergeant. So you got to stick around and get himself.
Look, Sarge, we got the gun position.
Yeah, we was really bobbing and weaving in there. The old fast break, just like a well-oiled machine. Save it, Coach. Save it till the Northeast Iowa Conference after the war.
Look, we know how you feel, Spence. We all yelled, too. But what are you going to do about a guy like that?
Yeah, what did you yell at him? Be a hero, Olson? Save the good old Sarge, huh? Where's Olson? Where's Olson? He ought to be here. He ought to be drinking that wine. He ought to be over in the corner, writing that letter to that girl of his. That, what's her name?
Helga.
Yeah, that Helga up in whatever the name of that dumb Swede town is. All about the cows they was gonna own. And the war bonds they were saving. Yeah. And keep a lookout for a barn, a good tight barn to keep the cattle dry. Olson ain't sleeping very dry tonight, is he? Did you bring him in?
Not yet, Spence. We couldn't get to him yet.
He ought to be here.
If he was here, we'd be out there in his place, Sarge.
So what? What got into him anyway? Why'd he come after me like that? I told him, go on, go on.
We had your boat covered. We thought he'd get you back over that ridge.
Yeah, you guys, you thought. Yeah. Well, I thought too. I thought I had me a squad. The best damn squad in the army. How long we been together anyway? North Africa, Sicily, Italy, and now this. A lot of fights.
A lot of fun. Yeah, remember that town in Italy, that little old place on the side of the mountain there?
The farmer there.
Yeah, that old man with the five daughters and that cave full of vino. Oh,
I thought I had me a squad. But all I got is a bunch of dumb, crummy friends who think they all gotta be heroes. And the best one of them all is lying outside there on a hill with a name nobody can pronounce. A hell of a long ways from Minnesota. Hey, the papers ever say anything about this? How it is down here where there ain't much to a war except mud and dirt? That and the guy's friends.
friends, he says. One crummy bullet in the leg and the guy's psycho.
Yeah, Galucci. First nice word he said since he got the last stripe.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, that's the last.
Did any of it get in the papers? About a kind of magic I call comradeship. I don't know, but as a war correspondent, which is a fancy name for a reporter whose beat is the battlefield instead of the courthouse or the police station, as a war correspondent, I tried to write about it back there during the Second World War. A lot of us tried. A bunch of nice guys named Ernie Pyle and Jack Singer and many others died trying. But all of us saw it there and later on in Korea. This magic I'm talking about. Anybody who's ever been close to American soldiers fighting overseas has felt it. I saw it that night in 1944 in the rubble of a farmhouse somewhere in Europe. A kind of bond that tied together a bunch of guys and made them into a fighting unit. The magic of comradeship among a New York cop, a high school coach from Iowa, an insurance salesman from California, a Texas haberdasher, and a dairy farmer from Minnesota. Is magic too strong a word? Well, I don't think so. And I've seen it at work aboard ships of the Navy and in the cramped quarters of a bomber. I've seen it in remote and lonely spots of the earth where the enemies are monotony and boredom. I saw it in World War II, and I saw it in Korea. I know men who have told me about it in the First World War and the Spanish-American War. They held me spellbound with their stories when I was a kid. The magic of comradeship. I suppose it takes all sorts of magic to win a war. The magic of production. The magic of technical skills. the magic of leadership. The magic of comradeship. And every time I saw it in battle, it seemed to me it would be a tragic thing if we lost it when the war ended. In fact, I used to wonder what would happen to these men after the war. Where would they go? Oh, I suppose the lucky ones would go back to their hometowns and their jobs and wives and girls and pick things up just as before. And in a way, that was wonderful. But also, in a way, it would be too bad. Too bad if the magic of comradeship, which had conquered Hitler and Mussolini and Hirohito, were to be lost to us forever. For there would, I knew, be enemies that had to be fought in time of peace as well as war. I guess it's a question that has nagged at the minds of a lot of guys. Where did it all go? What happened to the unity? That feeling of belonging to a team, of standing up to the enemy alongside a guy who would, oh, he'd bum your last cigarette, swipe your girl, brag about Texas or Brooklyn or Hannibal, Missouri, crack lousy jokes, whistle off key, and save your life. Well, I've been on the trail of an answer, and I think I've found it. The magic of comradeship is still working in this country of ours, still fighting her enemies, enemies which are doubly dangerous because they are subtle and intangible and hard to identify. The trail started for me on a street corner, not far from this office. Wasn't an unusual thing for New York City. A parade. But what a parade. Well, I guess everyone loves parades, but this one particularly gave me a kick because of its timing. Here the veterans of foreign wars had taken May Day, which the commies had been trying for years to make their own special holiday, and turned it into the exact opposite, a loyalty day on which Americans of every kind stepped out to the music of a band to show their love for the kind of freedom we have. It seemed to me that there was one way the VFW had applied the magic of comradeship in peacetime by calmly bouncing the communists out of their favorite propaganda spot. But parades alone don't beat enemies. And I thought of some of the enemies we have in America today. The enemy of juvenile delinquency, weakening the fabric of our society, eroding our most precious resource, our young men and women.
Hey, Oakley! Steady! No, help! No. Let him go. Guys, let's go! Come on!
The enemy of apathy toward our political problems, leaving the door open for the grab. The crook, the incompetent. The enemy of neglect of our veterans, which undercuts the pride with which young men wear the uniform of their country. This is the cruel enemy which keeps disabled veterans from proving that they can fill useful jobs in business and industry. Neglect that punishes children because their fathers served their country. The enemy of smugness, which lets our national defenses dwindle away, which discourages young Americans from seeking careers in our armed forces, which weakens our reserve components in our National Guard. Those are the enemies within America, eating away at our national strength, weakening our resistance to communism. How, I wondered, could the magic of comradeship that won fighting wars be brought to bear against these enemies.
What is the VFW doing to fight these enemies? The enemy of juvenile delinquency. Well, the National Marble Tournament is one of the ways. Boys from every state in the Union, from every walk of life, gather together to test their hard-learned skills in the healthy, open competition that is the heritage of every American youth. And VFW posts throughout the country carry on thousands of projects to provide such recreational opportunities. The Marble Tournament, because it is unique, is perhaps the best known. It's serious business, but it's fun too. No room here for pompous statements about combating juvenile delinquency. But that's the inevitable byproduct of the fun. And the same thing goes for the baseball team sponsored by VFW Posts for boys in the teenage class. To them, the national tournament is just as important as any World Series. And from these teams may come the big leaguers of tomorrow. Boys stay out of trouble when they're trying to improve their batting averages. Who doesn't thrill to the music of a drum and bugle corps, or a brass band, whether in a parade or competition? And the music is somehow sweeter when it's being made by boys and girls who are learning to express themselves in worthwhile ways. Boy Scout troops, youth clubs, all these and scores of other projects, sponsored or inspired by the VFW, prove that the magic of comradeship can work to provide America with a happy, vigorous generation of youngsters, to keep America strong, to guard against the decay of delinquency.
You know, next I wondered, how about the enemy of apathy? That don't care attitude of the citizen who, he can't be bothered to vote, who falls into the trap of figuring, what's the use? What can one man do?
One man, an individual citizen, can do much in our republic. But he can do far more when he applies the magic of comradeship by associating himself with others to achieve his goals.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars is non-political. Its members belong to all parties, but it realizes that democracy can function only when the voters make their opinions felt at the polls. A voter is registered, gets out to vote on election day. This is an asset to any community. But a swimming pool like this doesn't just happen. It's the product of work and planning, weeks and months of planning. And in town after town, you'll find the VFW behind swimming pools, playgrounds, new schools.
Helping a community's dreams come true is part of the magic of comradeship. One of the weapons with which it fights the enemy of citizen apathy.
My answer was beginning to take shape now. I could see how the VFW was making its contribution to the battle against our peacetime enemies. But one of the most insidious enemies was still unaccounted for. The enemy of neglect of our men who have served their country.
Just because I got unlucky and got a hand blown off doesn't mean I think the world owes me a living. But when the VFW post helped me land this job without me even asking, well, that's something. Maybe it's because the guys are all overseas vets themselves. Helps them understand the problems of a guy like me. I figure helping a guy to be, well, self-supporting is much different than pulling a guy out of the line of fire in the war. Anyway, shows they haven't forgotten. I'm glad I'm a member of VFW.
Wait a second. I'm the service officer of our post, and what that vet has said is true. But it goes beyond that. We figure that anybody with an honorable discharge has earned the right to get help whenever he needs it. Now, say a man is disabled. Well, we'll help him prove if it was service incurred or not. And even if it wasn't service incurred, we'll work with the VA to get him taken care of. Or maybe it's financial aid he needs. Well, that's what our relief fund is for. You see, when a veteran's in trouble, through no fault of his own, our idea is to do whatever has to be done to get him and his family back on their feet.
Men in veterans' hospitals know the VFW and the ladies of its auxiliary as good friends, always at hand to brighten the long days of convalescence. The VFW is there to give aid to the families of these men, to show in 1,000 ways, little and big, that America does not forget those who have sacrificed for her. It keeps an experienced eye on legislation that affects the rights of disabled veterans.
If one thing symbolizes the VFW's continuing comradeship with the disabled vet, it is the Buddy Poppy, proudly made by hands that have fought for their country, proudly and gratefully worn by Americans everywhere. The money raised by the Buddy Poppy sales is used by VFW posts for assistance to needy or disabled veterans or their families. Part of the Buddy Poppy funds go to a project particularly close to the hearts of the members of the VFW National Home at Eaton Rapids, Michigan, where children whose fathers are dead or totally disabled find a home. The magic of comradeship fights the enemy of neglect. For the National Home is more than just a modern institution providing the children with the finest in physical care, education, and recreation. It is a real home, where these children from every corner of the United States are integrated into a normal family life.
Come, Lord Jesus, be our guest, our morning joy, our evening rest, and with this daily bread and part, strength and love to every heart. Amen.
This is one other way the VFW can pay a small part of the country's debt to those comrades who have given their lives on the battlefield.
On this, the VFW creed is based. Honor the dead by helping the living.
And what about the final enemy? That smugness that could let our defenses crumble, thus inviting the horrors of another war. I learned that the VFW's attack on this enemy is as varied as the complexity of the problem requires.
An America that is strong in the weapons of war and strong in the moral fiber of its citizens has always been the goal of the VFW.
So, something as simple as this, encouraging observance of our patriotic holidays, is a part of the VFW's fight against our enemies. So is something as complicated as working to inform the public on the necessity of maintaining our armed forces, enlisting support for intelligent defense legislation. It can be something as friendly as running a canteen for servicemen, or as grim as the continuing battle to expose and bring to trial those who seek to overthrow our government as long hours of civil defense work, or as thrilling as a drum and bugle corps.
But whatever the work, it's part of the contribution being made by the veterans of foreign wars in the battle against the unseen enemies of our country. It's part of an unending battle begun by a handful of veterans of the Spanish-American War, carried on by the doughboys of World War I, and the millions of American fighting men of World War II and of the Korean campaign. It's based on the conception that men who have served under arms on foreign duty can and must band together to help their comrades, their country, and their communities. In great cities and small towns throughout America, the VFW post stands for all that is best in fellowship and service. To these posts, reporter Bob Considine turned to seek an answer to his question. He saw the VFW at work and at play.
For fun that is shared is as vital a part of comradeship as is the sharing of work. VFW families are brought into the magic bond through social activities as well as through community service. And just in passing, we might well wonder how long this nation's unseen enemies could survive if all American families had this sort of fun together.
Well, that's a little of what I saw when I started digging into the VFW story. I'm not through yet, but I've gone far enough to learn this much. The answers to my questions are, well, they're just about what I should have expected back there in World War II, when I saw the things that comradeship could accomplish. I should have known that anything as vigorous as that was in wartime certainly wouldn't die just because the guns fell silent. I should have known this magic bond we call comradeship would just have to go on as strong as ever. Oh, most of the faces I've seen back home here are different, but I know them. I've seen them before.
In the presence of Almighty God,
In the presence of Almighty God,
and the members of this order here assembled,
and the members of this order here assembled,
I,
William H. Hart,
do of my own free will and accord,
do of my own free will and accord,
solemnly promise and declare that.
solemnly promise and declare that.
I've seen them, I've known them overseas. Their names may be different. They may even be a different generation from the guys I wrote about, because the VFW has its roots very deep in the history of our wars. But they're the faces of men who mean it when they say,
I will bear true allegiance
To the government of the United States of America.
to the government of the United States of America,
And I will always be loyal thereto.
whoever they are, wherever they are, I know them and their devotion to their country and to each other.
I promise and pledge
all this I promise and pledge,
upon the honor of a true comrade
on the honor of a true comrade,
and a citizen of our great republic.
as a citizen of our great republic.
This is one reporter's opinion, but I think you can bank on it. The men who belong to the veterans of foreign wars are going to see to it that the magic bond of comradeship that has carried America to victory on the battlefield will continue to keep her strong and prosperous in time of peace.
Tender ties formed amid the privations and dangers of war be drawn closer by our fellowship.
All right, so we're running a little bit over with our show, and we have to continue our podcast.
Yes, we do.
So what were some things that you noticed early on about Altman's career and some similarities to what you saw here with other things that he had done?
Yeah, well, I think he does the delinquents with, there's a little bit of a juvenile delinquent kind of sequence in this, and then, I mean, he, like one of his signature creative efforts at the beginning of his career was Combat, the television show, and there's the wartime bonding, of course, at the opening of this, but, I mean, it certainly anticipates things, I guess, in a way it anticipates MASH, but I mean, I think that it's really feels more like drawn from his own experiences as a Korean War vet himself, but you can see the camera kind of not being as aggressively zoomy as like his own later stuff, but
Right.
it kind of pushes it a little bit. You have the overlapping dialogue.
Yeah,
Like,
the overlapping dialogue
He's
was
trying to
definitely
make
there.
he's trying to make it his own as much as he can, even
Right.
though that patriotism and piety kind of feels like very much different from what you might associate with the kind of more smart-assy kind of
Right.
attitude of 70s Altman. And
Yeah. And I did notice that beginning scene with all the soldiers. One of the soldiers shows up in a bunch of Calvin films, management films made for Alcoa. He is a manager who is trying to figure out what to do with the women in his office. So he did have a part in there. And there was probably some other Calvin stock people that show up. But
no Michael Murphy in this
no,
one. Yeah.
no. Well, thanks so much, Bill. Again, remind people where they can find your podcast and the name of it.
Yeah, Supporting Characters. It's been on hiatus for a couple of years, so it's coming back this fall. I'm recording new interviews, for that now. But you can find it at nowplayingnetwork.net or Spotify.
Yeah,
Amazon.
I saw that Spotify had it,
Yeah,
so that's a great place to find it.
Most places that stream podcasts, you can find it.
Well, I appreciate you coming down here, and when do you think my episode will be?
This fall.
This fall.
Yeah.
All right, and there'll be a whole series of
Yes.
them. So awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the donations via the super thanks. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday. Everybody, take care.
Thank you.